welcome everybody to the Magic Beans podcast. We are back again for episode number 141. I'm your host tonight, and my name is Shorty, and I have just the one single solitary bean on the line with me for tonight, and that is Cracker. How's it going, mate?
Good, thanks, buddy. How are you doing?
Yeah, pretty good. It's been a very busy week in the beans world. We've been doing a lot this week.
What heaps. It's been great, though. I love that. Like, we're all excited to get back into it. You know, I think we all go through like peaks and troughs of interest, and, you know, league finals and new sets will tend to peak our interest. So, yeah, it's good to be right into it again.
Yeah, absolutely. So, yeah, lots of things to talk about tonight, as there is most episodes. But, yeah, we're going to sort of touch on what we've been doing over the last week and what all these exciting things are that have happened. And, yeah, before we get into that, though, we do need to shout out our sponsors. So, I mean, I guess I have to ask you, Cracker, to do the honours.
I'm always happy to talk about...
No one else here other than me, but...
No, that's fine. There's Josh and Pat's. I mean, if you've heard us at all, you'll hear us banging the Josh and Pat's drum because they're amazing. They're a Facebook marketplace where they have nightly auctions and also Win It Now listings where you can just buy... I've been practicing. You can just buy sweet Magic cards at really good prices. The auctions are done by a dedicated auctioneer, so they always come out really fast. The packaging is excellent, and you get sweet tokens when you win auctions. So check them out. You can go to jpmtgbazaar.com, and it will take you straight to the auction page. And then when you win some, let them know the Bean sent you, because apart from, you know, sponsoring the podcast, we kind of funnel all the funds into the tournament series and the prizes that we've got for that. So that's kind of where, you know, all of the... Well, we get product from Pat, really, don't we? We just get packs that we open on streams and things, and that's really what kind of helps us put all that together. So we gave away a bunch of stuff on the weekend, man.
Yeah, a bunch of Modern Horizons 2 packs. I think we opened some decent stuff in there.
We did, yeah.
That was certainly good, as well as a bunch of cash. It was,
bunch of cash.
Yeah, heaps of cash getting given out. So it was good fun. But yeah, like you said, Cracker, like I don't think we use our money that we get from all of this for literally anything other than prizes. Like, even
I don't think any of us have taken a cent. No.
Like, I pay for postage when I ship everything out. I'm not taking money from anything. So, like, it's literally every cent that we get from Josh and Pat's, from Twitch subs, from donations, all that sort of stuff, all just goes straight back into the prize pool. So, yep, that's the way we do it. We are certainly not earning an income out of any of this. No. If we were, we'd be in trouble.
we have way too many children to support.
Yes. Very good. All right. So, yeah, as you mentioned, Cracker, we had our league finals on the weekend. So this was our first Explorer League. And I don't know about you, but I had an absolute blast playing the league, and then also seeing the finals playing out and watching you guys do the commentary. So it was a very busy day for me. I spent the entire day pushing buttons, but yourself and Chewy spent many hours in front of the camera, as well as a few hours from Stu. So it was an awesome day. Had lots of fun. And who took it down?
Insanity.
Yeah. So new to our Beans world, just sort of jumped in over from the ESL and just crushed people.
Just stomped them out, man. I was super well played. Like, lost in the top of the top half of the bracket, playing mono green against the Angels deck. Angels took them out initially, and so they fell down to the lower bracket, and fortunately had that loss to give, and then just won out through there with some like really good matches. They played really well, and I mean, you say it was a long day, and we got to the end. I was like, we've been streaming for like 6 hours, but it just went. For me, it went really fast because all the matches were really interesting. The games were fantastic. Like, there was a bunch of variation. It didn't feel like any of it was kind of stale. And I think almost all of the matches we covered went to 3 games. There was 1 or 2 that we had that were just like non-events. I think one of the games, one of our players got stuck on 2 lands and that was it. Like, they just never got to basically cast a spell, which always is disappointing. But, I mean, that's the nature of the game. But it was all really fun, man. Loved it.
Yeah, absolutely. So, yeah, as you said, Insanity playing mono green, and that deck was very impressive throughout the day. Lost to Atex Walker in the match that takes you into the grand final. So had to do it the hard way, drop down into lower bracket, play 2 extra matches to get back into the grand final, and yeah, certainly did it. And man, just
took
from
revenge.
mono green deck, like how many cards did that deck draw? It was
all day,
insane.
about 100 in one game, about 30. It just popped off. Like Henge and all sorts of stuff just let it draw so many cards, and like Collected Company just his Coco hits, except for one. There was one spin of Coco where he hit 1 Lanois Elves, and the rest of the time he was putting in like 2 banger 3-drops every time. It was insane.
Yeah, Ronus and a Steel Leaf Champion or something along those lines, and yeah, just smashing. So yeah, between the Wolf and the Great Henge and Coco's, just so much card draw, and could just go from having a board that's like, oh yeah, this is a decent board, to very quickly going, oh, I've got, you know, a Ronus and 4 or 5 large creatures and access to 12 mana, so I can activate my Ronus 4 times.
Yeah, Ronus just made everything so difficult to play around. Like, when we're trying to work out blocks and things, you're just like, okay, you know what? I'm glad I don't actually have to do the maths on this. We're just going to see what happens here, because who knows? But yeah, there was just the one-off, I'm pretty sure, but it just came in clutch in a number of really important spots. Yeah,
absolutely. So how did our predictions go from the day? I picked P-Jaw on the mono red, and he was doing okay, and then unfortunately had to bow out of the rest of the day, so that was unfortunate. That was the end of mono red. But I think you picked Benny R.
I did. Benny got a little bit further. He actually got the scoop from P-Jaw, which probably helped him, given he was on the blue-white control deck. I felt bad for J-Mud, because his deck just kind of didn't get to spread its wings or whatever you want to say. It just couldn't get its feet on it. Benny just kept sweeping it, and that was the end of it. But yeah, he bowed out a couple of rounds later, and I think Chewy picked Plunks.
Yeah, I can't remember. He's not here, so we'll just say he picked Plunks.
Yeah. But look, I have to admit, I will say it on the cast, I said it a lot of times on the stream, the boat did work.
Oh, yeah. That was the big
the Sky Sovereign, and look, I leant right into it, and I loved it. I loved that Plunks knew I was commentating all his matches, so he was waving it around and highlighting it every chance he got. I think one of the few games that he lost was because he bottomed it on a mulligan decision, and I think it just proves that he was wrong. And I was wrong. Yeah, I just kept forgetting that it's an attack trigger as well.
Yeah. It was surprising how much it did.
Yeah, just like, I'm like, oh, he's dead next turn. I was like, oh, no, wait, hang on. He can, kill the Croxer with the 3 damage from this and a burn spell. And it swung games in really important spots. So,
yeah. Yeah, you forget that it's only 5 mana, which is not that hard to get to when you're playing a slow, grindy deck anyway in the red-black sacrifice. So you're going to get there, and then it just did have ways to crew it. So it comes down, you're instantly bolting something, and then it wasn't that hard to actually crew it. And then, you get to bolt something else, and it was surprising. So well done to Plunks. Unfortunately, the rest of the day didn't quite pan out in his favour. So just going to have to keep earning some more Envy points and try and find his way to the Invitational. So that was good.
Right, he's a good chance.
Yeah.
I loved it, though. I love the Explorer. I think we need to find another spot for it next year. It's
definitely.
It was heaps of fun. I think everyone had a really good time just kind of mixing it up, and it was the perfect time as far as, like a lull in standard and people's interest there. And I'm kind of ready to kick back into that, though, man.
Yeah, yes. So, with Insanity winning, that does get him straight into the Invitational, which will take place in December this year. But, it's sort of straight from that on to our next event. So we will touch on, we do have a one-day event coming up next weekend, actually.
Yep.
So we will touch on that towards the end of the podcast. But we go from that straight into another league, and this league will be a standard league again, as we normally do. We've got a new set that comes out tonight as we're recording, and that's sort of what we're going to talk about for a fair bit of the rest of tonight. You and Chewy, so we had as we said, we've been doing a lot of stuff over the last week. You and Chewy streamed last night. You did the
Tuesday night.
Yep.
Yeah.
So we streamed on Saturday.
Yep. You streamed Monday.
Did Chewy stream Sunday, or was that last week?
that was last week.
Yeah, I streamed Monday night, played some more Explorer. Then, you and Chewy streamed Tuesday night, and you did the mechanics review. So normally, as regular listeners of the podcast would know, when a new set's coming out, we get you on Cracker and you run everyone through the mechanics. And we kind of spoke about it last week, and I was like, how on earth are we going to fit in all the things we need to talk about? So
because we have rotation as well, we thought we'd try something different. And Chewy and I also wanted to speak a bit about limited and how we approach brand new sets. It's something we did an evergreen on a while ago, but because our one day event is sealed, it is a limited event, we thought it was a good time to look into it. And we don't normally spend a lot of time chatting about limited. We have like an hour a week where we're talking about Magic, and there's 10 minutes of telling us how good Josh and Pats are, and but so we're joking. But we thought, hey, let's try this, and we'll just sort of dig into the uncommon signpost cards. So that is up on Twitch. We streamed it live there, and then I also recorded it, so it's up on YouTube now on our YouTube channel. And I'm going to see if I can extract the audio from that video to just put up as a separate podcast. But yeah, it's worth checking out. We kind of went deep, and then spent a lot of time just talking about all the uncommons. We didn't get into any of the rares and things, and then just some of the other cards that pair well with that and what to look out for. So I hope people enjoy it. Chewy and I had a lot of fun doing it. So if you liked it,
it was good.
Yeah, if you liked it, let us know, because it feels like it frees up a bit of space now on the cast to talk about like what's rotating out and what's coming in and what, because most people engage more in constructed, I think is fair to say.
Yeah.
So yeah, kind of gives us a time now to chat about that. So
yep. You just got to cut out the 5 minutes at the start where
I did. I cut out all that. Correct. Oh, I didn't cut out the part where I've got no audio. You got to skip that couple of minutes. You'll work it out. I did cut out all the intro videos and stuff.
I mean, you spent a good long time talking, just assuming that people could hear you.
Well, I thought I'd unmuted myself. There's always something.
Yes.
We're doing it live, and I clearly don't stream enough
no, that's right.
to remember all those things. So
yeah, I mean, I've been streaming every Monday for a good couple of months now, other than when I was away. So, and then obviously all the behind the scenes pushing buttons when we do all the other stuff. So I've got a pretty down pat of knowing what to.
Yeah, well, this was the first time I pulled in a video as well to stream from my thing. So I was pretty glad we got like Chewy's video and audio working the whole time too. Yep. So like we'll take that.
Very good. So yeah, go and check that out. So that is, the VOD is still on Twitch, or you can jump on YouTube and watch it there. So you get the visuals to go along with what the guys are talking about. While you're there on YouTube, give it a like, hit the subscribe button, ring the bell, all the usual stuff people tell you to do on YouTube. One day we would like to, get to the point where we can actually earn money off of our YouTube videos, but we are so far from that.
We're a long way from monetizing that. It's fine.
But get there, like it, subscribe. One day we'll get there. I mean, we're now at 300 followers on Twitch. Never thought we'd ever get there.
It's true. Yep. Appreciate it.
Very good. All right. So yeah, the main thing we're going to talk about tonight is rotation. So this happens every 2 years now. That's the way the system's currently working. So we've had standard sets being released every between 2 and 5 months, the way Wizards been doing their schedule over the last couple of years. And eventually it gets to this set each year, which is, they call it the fall set in the US, spring set for us. And every 2 years we get rotation. So you get a bunch of old sets leaving standard, no longer legal in standard, and then we start filling back those slots with the new sets that release over the next year or so, and then we get another rotation. So it keeps standard fresh and exciting, with those constant changes. But with that comes a few problems. You've been playing the same deck for the last 18 months, most likely, or similar decks, slowly improving them. And all of a sudden, most of those cards are gone, and your archetypes are gone, and you got to start from scratch. And it means you got to spend a bunch of wild cards on Arena and things like that to kind of get into new decks. So we're going to have a bit of a chat about what's leaving, the sort of the key cards from each set. And then, and then we'll sort of talk, I don't know, we'll see how we go for time, if we talk a little bit about standard or whatever. And then we're going to, have a bit of a chat about some of the new cards that are coming in from Dominaria. So the sets that are leaving, I'll just quickly rattle them off here, and then we can get into them, Cracker. So Zendikar Rising is the oldest set that is going. Then Kaldheim, Strixhaven, and then the D&D Adventures in the Forgotten Realms set is rotating. So that leaves us with, we didn't write this down, but what are the sets to the left?
So we've got Streets New Capenna. We've got, hang on, I was just looking at it.
Midnight Hunt, Crimson.
Yep, correct.
Midnight Hunt,
Crimson Vow. And then Kamigawa. And then now it'll be Dominaria United will be the last one.
Yep, cool. All right, so what are we losing from Zendikar Rising?
Yeah, maybe just to quickly talk about how I've done this. I ended up going through each of these sets on Scryfall and just kind of scrolling through each of the colours and pulling out like one or two of the cards that have seen really high impact from each colour in their time in Standard. It's obviously not every card because we don't have that much time. And I've tried to be, like cards that either I played and enjoyed or things that, like are just objectively powerful. So from Zendikar Rising, there's quite a bit. We're losing a lot, and a lot of it is just mana bases, right?
Yeah, and these aren't, just to sort of also point out before you get into it, these aren't necessarily cards that are still heavily played, but they have been, or at some point in their time in Standard, they were impactful.
Exactly right. And because keeping in mind that
to the point where they got banned.
Yeah, no, 100%. And so, you might go, oh, well, that doesn't see play now. But at different points, these cards were even in the conversation of being banned. People hated them that much. There's all sorts of stuff. So, keep in mind that they were kind of their time, even though that once you get to like 8 or 9 set Standard where we're just leaving, they may not have had the power level to keep up. But they did earlier. Zendikar Rising, we're losing all of the pathways. All of the pathways that were in that. The other half was in Kaldheim, but it's a lot of fixing.
And that's probably like out of everything that we're losing here, that is just such a huge loss. Like
Massive.
The pathways have been so good for fixing mana, and losing all of them that's huge. So massive loss there.
Yeah, I remember when they were previewed, I was like, I'm unimpressed by these cards. They just played out better than I expected. Yeah, I think they just... Look, they're not perfect. I still don't love them, but the play pattern of them is actually really interesting. And we're talking the other night, Shorty, about like holding on to them for as long as you can before playing them.
Yep. Waiting to see what colour you actually like what colour you commit to playing it. Yep.
Exactly. So there was some really interesting choices there around that. But along the lands, there's just a whole cycle of double-faced land cards that we got in here. So the two that I sort of picked out initially were Dryad Disruption and then also Spikefield Hazard. I think they saw the most play out of that common cycle.
The green one, the Tangled Florahedron,
wasn't it? Oh, yeah, that's true.
No, the Tangled Florahedron, I think that was the common one. So, that card saw a lot of play.
Yep. And then there was also the Mythic cycle. So that was things like Agadeem's Awakening. There was the blue one that no one played. They were the bolt lands, right? Where you could pay 3 for them to enter as an untapped single color. Or they were like black X, and they were all X spells with, the black one was return creatures from your graveyard with mana value, blah, 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 all that sort of stuff. The other white one made angels.
Was that the red Shadow one was Skull Smashing? Was that the red one?
Yep, correct. And then I forget what the green one was.
I can't remember. Many. Yep.
Turn Timber Symbiosis.
Yeah, that's the one.
So the one where you can look at the top 7. And that's a lot of play too,
Yep.
So they are all gone, getting out of here. So then moving on from the lands, in white, we've got Skyclave Apparition is going.
Yeah.
Which just an immediate staple in every deck that could play white, basically, since the day it was printed. Then we got Ruin Crab, which, again, in its time, in the Rogues deck, saw huge amounts of play. Blood Chief's Thirst in black, a premium removal spell. Red was a little thin in Zendikar Rising. So the card that I ended up choosing for this one was Cinderclasm. Saw a lot of sideboard play in decks
definitely
could play. Yep. And green was a little thin as well, I found. But Lotus Cobra, again, at different points, saw a lot of play.
Yeah.
And as far as multicolored cards, Shorty.
There's one that rules them all.
There's just one. Omnath. I think everything that needs to be said about Omnath has been said a million times. Got banned.
Still terrorizing formats.
Yeah. Card is busted OP. I don't know there's much more to say about that.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, a bunch of those cards, Lotus Cobra and Omnath and the lands and all that sort of stuff all got played together in the one deck. So
they sure did.
Yep. Do you remember there was
what
a
about
point before
Kaldheim?
the previous rotation where it was like there would have been Omnath and Oko and Uro and Once Upon a Time and Growth Spiral. They were all meant to be legal at the same time.
Yeah.
What a stupid
that Simic
format
deck
that
would have been just beyond insane. You just couldn't have played anything else.
Yep.
All right, so the next setup that is leaving in age order is Kaldheim. So kind of the overarching theme for this one was runes, right? Runes and snow were the main sort of things that came out of it. And again, like runes just dominated. For months there, it was the best deck and the thing you should be doing.
For bans.
100%. They were just frustrated playing against it.
Yep.
It's interesting though, because in some of these colours there, white had Redain, which saw a bunch of play, but it wasn't everywhere. It was, like one or two of in different decks and could be pretty annoying to play against. Then there was Alrund's Epiphany for blue.
Yep, still casting that card.
Yeah, everyone loves that one. In black, the one that I grabbed here was Village Rites. Just draws cards, kills your thing. Very good. Also Valky. I mean, again, people were doing very, very dumb things with Valky and the other side of Tybalt, in a bunch of combo decks there.
Yeah, we had the ultimatums, like Emergent Ultimatum and that sort of stuff. We were doing fun things with Tybalt.
We sure were. Now, I'm sad about this card. I'm sad this card's going. Goldspan Dragon.
It's not gone for me. Didn't you see my stream?
No, I did.
I'm literally
I
casting
loved your stream,
Goldspans and Epiphanies. It was so much fun.
I was having a great time watching you on Monday night, actually. But yeah, Goldspan Dragon is gone. And a lot of people will really be happy about that disappearing. That card, again, insane power and value. Very, very good. Another card that people hate a lot, A Seeker's Chariot. I hate that card, actually. This epitomizes what green. It's just like, 4 mana, a million things. Good luck.
Yep.
I untap with it. I get to make a million more things. Even good luck. Yeah. So
I get to copy my Ren and 7 token. And
yeah. Then I also threw in Old Growth Troll because, again, in the mono green deck, seen a lot of play. Really, really strong. For multicolored, I had Binding of the Old Gods, which
solid.
Dropped off a bit, but early on in its time saw a lot of play.
I played quite a lot of that.
There were Sultai decks that were playing that because it was removal spell, it ramped. Yeah, it did a lot of stuff. Coma, again, had its place and time where it was kind of just the finisher for those decks and it just got out of hand. And then the other things that were in this set were the rest of the pathways, so that kind of rounded out that 10. And then Faceless Haven as well, which kind of held down the mono red to a little bit, but mono red didn't quite stand up to how good mono white was for a long time here.
No.
And this card just terrorized people. And then Book of Exalted Deeds.
It terrorized people so much to the point that they had to ban it and fix it in alchemy.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Book of Exalted Deeds, goodness me.
Remember that combo?
That was a fun deck when people were playing that sort of thing.
No, it wasn't.
Yeah.
Fortunately, it didn't go well.
Yeah, Kaldheim was a set that I think like initially when it first dropped, people weren't that impressed like with the power level. And just over time, it was like, no, these, like the cards that you just listed, they are just crazy powerful. Like Alrund's Epiphany and Goldspan Dragon and Valky and the Cadillac, like
the Seeker's Chariot. Yeah, exactly.
So much power in them. And but I don't think it was highly regarded as a powerful set. I think maybe it had those cards that we sort of listed as being super powerful, and then the rest of the set was a bit average.
Yeah, it was interesting because it was a new plane, so it was the first time we'd been there.
Yeah,
and I don't know
it was
that
a cool plane actually. I really liked it.
It was actually. I mean, there are a lot of other cards that I could have pulled out. There's like Ascended Spirit and a few other things that kind of. There was also the other foretell cards. There are a few other foretells that saw play, particularly in blue, but without pulling out 20 or 30 cards from each thing. Yeah. I agree though. I think it was kind of one of those sets that just on face value seemed a little underpowered, but just ended up being kind of a real pillar of standard for the whole time it was in there. So all right. Next up, Strixhaven.
Speaking of sets that people really weren't that excited about and didn't have a ton of powerful cards.
Harry Potter? I actually struggled in this one to pull out cards. And it'll come up to that in a second. So lessons, I guess, were the overarching theme for this.
What did you think of the lesson mechanic?
I mean, I never really played with it. I think it's fine. I think it's fine. Like, it doesn't super excite me.
It was interesting. It's a similar sort of rub that I guess they was trying to go for with companions, in that it's like, okay, you can have access to more cards or, access to a powerful card, things like that from your sideboard, but it comes at the cost of taking up slots in your sideboard. And the card that it comes on usually being weaker. Yeah. So companions, obviously, they way overshot it, and they were stupidly powerful, and correct. So they nerfed the whole mechanic, and there were still problems. Yeah, lessons, they went much more conservative, but yeah, it was quite interesting, and it made an interesting dynamic for best of one, where you could have access to these cards. Yeah, you'd have a 7 cardboard. Yeah. 7. Yeah. Well, I mean, it brought that in as well. Like initially when the lessons came out, you had access to a full sideboard. So you could play best of one and have 15 cards in your sideboard that you had access to. Yep. And then they brought that rule in for Arena where it's, if you're playing best of one, you only get access to 7 cards. And now we've got that really weird, awkward layout thing in our sideboards on Arena. So if I'm putting a sideboard in, I want 15 cards. Get out of here. Yeah, anyway. I wouldn't be surprised if lessons come back at some point and they do a slightly different take or they adjust the power levels. But yeah, interesting concept. So I struggled with this set in the monocolors to find cards that were actually really good, except for Elite Spellbinder. So Paula Vita Dominarosa's invitational card, or not invitational, his what was World
it?
Championship.
World's Win. Yep. Yeah, Spellbinder is an amazing card. Just did everything Mono White wanted. Taxed, beat down, brilliant, like wonderful design. For blue, Divide by Zero was kind of the card that I landed on there as being the most playable, I think, out of that set. There's, it did learn, but, people saw that, it was a counter spell that, worked around Hullbreaker Horror and a couple of other things that was kind of the savior for a bit. But, I mean, they ended up getting, they get nerfed in Alchemy or it got banned in Standard and nerfed in banned in Standard. Yeah. So it was quite powerful, and it was very powerful in a specific deck. It was. I think that's what I found most strange about that banning is it was only in like 1 or 2 decks. It wasn't everywhere. It wasn't the sort of normal thing where... Yeah, well, it was an odd banning. It's just a massive portion of the meta. But anyway, in black, again, struggled a little bit. Professor Onyx, she saw a bit of play as a control finisher. I think was probably the main thing there. Either that or Sedgemoor Witch was the other one I was looking at. Might have been a better choice. Professor Onyx saw play in the Ultimatum decks. It did. Something that you would go and get with your ultimatums. Yeah, it also saw play in some of the Esper control lists that were kicking around as well. Yeah. But Sedgemoor Witch may have been a better pick there. That's definitely seen quite a lot of play. And then moving on from there, I just couldn't find any red or green cards. I've just got no red or green. Like, I scrolled through the list. I spent quite a bit of time looking at it, and I just could not find... Okay, Shorty, the red card I was looking at is called Hall Monitor. I have played Hall Monitor. That's the one that makes a creature can't block? Correct. Or can't be blocked or something along those lines? No, it can't. Yeah, target creature can't block. So it's a 1/1 I've definitely played that in Mono Red. If that is the best card that I can find, I mean, Grinning Ignis, but I'm not going to talk about a stupid combo card in that... No, although I got crushed by that deck in Explorer last night. Sure. But we're talking about Standard, right? Like, it didn't see play in Standard. And that was the thing. Like, this set just kind of was bad. Yeah, and green was the same. Green was the same. Yeah. Yeah, I couldn't find anything. Particularly when, like, you go back and there's cards like Blizzard Brawl and things like that from Kaldheim that I didn't put on the list that were just, like, absolute houses. So... the power level that it needed to break into when it came in just wasn't there. And then it's still just never been there. Yeah. So, anyway. However, in the Izzet colours. Oh, my goodness. Yeah, in exactly. Izzet colours. And look, I obviously have a huge bias. Shorty and I love Izzet. It's our favourite colour combo. Expressive Iteration. Oh, yeah. I will fight anyone who says that this isn't one of the best blue-red spells ever. Okay? Like, it is... Banned in Pioneer and Explorer. Yeah, exactly. Sees play in Modern and Legacy. It is amazing. If you've never cast it, I would suggest that you do that wherever you can. I did put this one on here a little bit for you, but Magma Opus. Magma Opus was, again, in its time, in the... Oh, I've gone blank on the name of the creature. Jeskai Hanata. Yeah, Hanata, that's the one. Yeah. Which is still amazing. A deck that is still getting played in Standard. There you go. Yeah. Not anymore. It just lost Iteration and Magma Opus. Oh, the big payoffs.
Yeah, but yeah, that card is, again, that's a card that you look at and it's like, oh, this thing's 8 mana. Like, that's just ridiculous.
It's not.
But then you combine it with Hanada and all of a sudden it's like free, basically.
Yeah, yeah. And you have gold spend, so you're making treasures that tap for 2. Anyway.
Yep. Or you flash it back with your Torrential Gear Hulk and it's also free. So
all right, but that's not in standard. But look, it did absolutely have a time at the top of the metagame with the Hanada decks. And it even saw like play in like some of the just straight up blue-red control,
Yeah.
That was just sometimes the finisher for them. So yeah, that one definitely saw a lot of play. And also Prismari Command. I looked at kind of all the commands, because that was, a big draw. It was one of the main cycles in this set. And Prismari just saw the most play out of all of them. I think it was the strongest and just saw the most play. The Lawhold Command, no, not Lawhold, I don't even remember what they're called now. The black-white ones are a little bit
the colours.
Yeah, the black-white ones are a bit of play.
I can't remember what that one's called.
Yeah, I'm actually looking for it now.
Silverquill, it's Silverquill.
Silverquill.
Black White, Silverquill, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Anyway, that's how much we cared about the weird names for that set.
The Orzhov one.
Orzhov one. Exactly. That was the biggest problem with the set, the dumb names. And Vanishing Verse was one of the other cards that, again, black-white, seen a bunch of play. Good removal spell.
Yeah, solid card.
And Snarls, which were... no one played. I had to mention them because they were in there. They were the rare land cycle.
Yeah.
And they just
I have unfortunately had to play the odd Snarl on occasion.
You got to do it.
Didn't want to spend the wild cards to get the dual lands for Explorer or Historic or something like that, but they're not good lands.
They're the show lands, in case you don't remember, because they've been banished from your memory.
Yeah.
So they're inter-tapped unless you reveal...
Yep.
Yeah, unless you reveal one that matches the colours of it. So,
which didn't work at all with Pathways, because they have no land types.
They sure don't. Imagine if Pathways had land types. That'd be nuts. Anyway. All right, so the next setup, D&D. And D&D was interesting, man, because I remember this one being underwhelming, and then I started looking through all the cards, and there's a lot. There's actually... this set is kind of stacked for choices here. So, not in every colour, but there's a bunch of stuff that's really good. So, Portable Hole in white just saw play, again, in every deck that could cast it. And this is where we got the Book of Exalted Deeds.
Yes.
But yeah, Portable Hole I thought was particularly excellent. The other one that I thought we maybe could have talked about was that was in a different set. There was one of the maces that gave flying. But anyway, that's fine. So then we've got blue was a little thin on the ground. I actually had a hard time in Adventures of the Forgotten Realm trying to find a good blue card that saw a bunch of play. So I landed on Demi-Lich, but I kind of don't love that's where we are.
It had a lot of hype in the preview season, and
it did.
We tried to make it work, but
I did.
It was never good.
I mean, it's either they're like Tasha's Hideous Laughter,
which is still seeing play in Explorer. And
it is. But again, like in Standard, it kind of never made blue mono. There was just not a lot of great blue support in the set.
Yeah. So the Demi-Lich not having flying. If it had flying, it would have been quite a bit better.
It would have been a totally different thing. Yeah.
But it was just a 4/3 that you had to jump through a million hoops to get on the field, and
you could rebuy it and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Black had quite a bit though. So Deadly Dispute. Again, still has been seeing huge amounts of play. We saw it cast a bunch on the weekend, drawing cards, sacking things. Lolth, the Planeswalker.
Yeah, played a lot of Lolth.
Lolth's great. Really, really strong. Just kind of did everything you either wanted as a mid-range threat at your top end, or, a good finisher, or just spitting out spiders every turn to just
storm the festival target. Make
it impossible. Yeah, exactly. So lots of those things to just, be a finisher and control. Lolth saw heaps of play. And then Ray of Enfeeblement. More of a sideboard card, but Mono White was so strong from the previous couple of sets that I thought this one was worth kind of flagging.
So that was around with Winota as well.
It was.
Memory. So it saw a lot of sideboard play when Winota was, and sometimes main deck play. Yeah, when there was a lot of Mono White and a lot of Winota kicking around, it was quite good at picking those off.
Sure was. And then for red, there was Dragon's Fire, which has seen a fair bit of play. And then the other one I had was Burning Hands. Kind of No good red creatures in this set. Somewhat disappointingly, I think, Shorty, for you.
Yeah, we haven't had very good red creatures for a little while, as in small red.
Yeah, but there's not even like big red creatures. You've got like what I think the only other
you had Goldspan Dragon like that.
No, but like not in this set. Yeah, correct. I mean, there's Inferno of Star Mounts, which saw a tiny amount of sideboard play against control decks because it was can't be counted and flying with haste, but whatever.
Yeah, Burning Hands. That was a really important sideboard card because it killed
huge Chariots, it killed Lovestruck Beasts, and it killed Gargaroths, which was the other big which haven't come up yet.
Red decks. No.
That's actually not rotating. Gargaroth is still... No, Gargaroth's already gone?
Gargaroth was in M21, so that rotated the last rotation.
Right.
So it hasn't been in standard for a little while, but there was that period where it was
exactly right
with these sets. And
correct.
Yeah. Yep.
Green, though. Green had a bunch. It had the Innkeeper.
Yeah.
Which
just very strong.
Huge amounts of play. Ranger class. Dipped off a little bit now, but certainly for a long time there, Mono Green was playing just 4 of Ranger class.
Yep.
Just we talked about that card a lot, just being able to do kind of everything you wanted to let you go long. It made your dudes bigger, it drew you cards. Kind of gross. And then we've got Werewolf Pack Leader, which, again, we saw heaps of on the weekend, paired with Ranger Glass. Kind of gross. Just 3/3 attacking, drawing cards. Just great threat. Really, really good.
Yep.
And then the cycle of creature lands. So Cave of the Frost Dragon, Den of the Bugbear, Hall of the Storm Giants, Hive of the Eye Tyrant, and Lair of the Hydra. All these saw a lot of play in all their colours.
Still seeing a lot of play in Standard, seeing a lot of play in
Explorer,
Historic, Explorer, Modern, Pioneer. Like they're quite good. It happens a lot with the creature lands. They come out and they always get compared to Celestial Colonnade and Raging Ravine and like these old school ones that were really quite strong. And so you compare them to those and it's like, oh no, they're not quite the same. But in context of the formats, they were actually really quite good. And these are all really excellent. They all were, all had relevant abilities as well. Yep. So, and the restrictions on them, like a lot of the creature lands historically have just always come into play tapped. These ones having that option, like basically being fast lands, just made them so handy. Like the red ones were fine. Den of the Bugbear was fine to be playing in your mono red aggressive decks because you were often playing it on turn 1 or 2, so it came into play untapped. Whereas, Hall of the Storm Giant that you're playing in your control decks, you don't mind if it comes into play tapped later on.
Yep.
You can have your untapped lands early and then play that one tapped later on, and it's not really messing you up. So, yeah, super powerful, really impactful, and they're going to be a big loss because I believe we're not going to have basically any creature lands in Standard.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yep.
Or there's like
and this is the first time in
weird garbage ones.
In actual years, I don't think there's any at all.
Okay.
I think they're all gone. I heard someone saying.
Yeah. Right.
So it'll be really interesting to see whether they do or not. But yeah, the next cycle of lands is certainly not any of that. So I guess kind of holistically looking at this list, we just went through, I don't know, like 30 or 40 cards or whatever it is. What do you think?
I'm sad to see them go.
Yeah.
To be honest. And I kind of get that, like, you have these periods when you're playing a lot of Standard where it's like, this format sucks or this card's too powerful, whatever. But I think as a whole, over the last year or so, Standard has actually been pretty good. Like, I mean, I was saying before the cast, and I think you're in the same boat as me, I literally haven't played a game of Standard since my last league match. Like, not the most recent league that we played, the league before that. So, like, 4 months or something since I've played a match of Standard. But, I hear about it on podcasts and things like that. And from what I'm hearing, it's still good and it's been good. And it has, as tends to happen when you get to these really big Standards, it sort of tends more towards sort of the mid-rangey soup type decks because you've just got access to really good mana bases and all that sort of thing and all the powerful cards, but it still seems to have been pretty good. Yeah, they had some issues, there's a few cards that had to be banned along the way, but I think generally they did a good job, and I'm really sad to see some of these cards go because I've had a lot of fun playing them. So what about you?
Yeah, exactly the same. Yeah, looking at this list is just kind of like, wow, there's a lot of really good stuff, and they actually did a really good job in balancing these sets together. I think that Kaldheim is a bit of an outlier in terms of some of the power level there, but the rest of the sets feel really close together in terms of what they've got. They all had like 1 or 2 cards that were like truly excellent, and then the rest of the power level was fairly flat across them, and I think that's fine. Like, I think that's a good spot to be in. There will always be a best card or cards in a set or a cycle, and that's cool. I think, yeah, there's definitely, we talked about them, the ones that I'll be sad to see go, but I'm excited about what's coming up too, though.
Yeah, I'm just looking at this list of cards going, man, I've spent so many wild cards on these cards. And
don't think about it like that. No, don't do that.
Yesterday I pre-ordered the Dominaria bundle on Arena.
Oh, did you?
Because I haven't done that for ages. And it was like, I've only got like a few wild cards left. I need to pre-order a bundle, open a ton of packs, and just sort of set myself up for this new format. Get some wild cards in the bank, and then sort of slowly start building up from there. So, yeah, we'll see how that goes. But I'll have a few weeks to see how the metagame shakes out before I decide to start crafting.
Before you commit?
Yeah.
No, mate, I'm all in already. Someone on Twitter posted Someone already posted a mono blue Delver list.
Lock it in.
Easy game. Keep your rare wildlands. I don't need them.
Very good. All right, anyway. So that will be rotation. So that's by the time you listen to this podcast, it's probably already happened.
Yeah.
One thing to note: you will get. They do the renewal rewards as long as you've signed into Arena in the past couple of months. You have a renewal token, and that gets you like a bunch of booster packs and some stuff. I can't even remember what you get for it, but it's just a little free bonus thing that you get. So if you haven't logged into Arena for the last few months, do that. I'd quickly logged into my daughter's account yesterday just to make sure she had the thing.
Nice.
She's got so many packs just sitting there waiting for her to start playing again so she can open them. But it's going to be kicking off straight away, and it will be brand new standard. So I would expect a lot of people in our Discord will be just hitting limited pretty hard for the next couple of weeks. Which is generally what you want to be doing at the start of a format anyway. We've spoken about that before for building a collection, so give that a crack, and then we'll sort of see what comes out, what shakes out in standard. But hopefully it's a good format, and it sort of only improves from there. So let's have a bit of a look at a few cards that we're excited to see. So you and Chewy spoke about the uncommon signpost.
We did, yeah.
Cards
from a limited perspective,
thing.
Exactly.
Yeah, and that's more looking at limited, and some of those cards do translate over into constructed formats, but often they are there predominantly for limited to be those signposts. And obviously, the full preview's out. It's been out for I think nearly a week.
Now. Yeah.
Other podcasts have gone in depth, and you can go and listen to your reviews and that sort of thing. But we just thought we'd highlight just a few cards that we're keen to see and that are sort of coming into the format that we're a little bit excited about. So I think the first thing for me is Painlands coming back. It's not the full cycle of Painlands. So these are the lands that come into play untapped. You can tap it for a generic mana or colorless mana with nothing. It's just, taps for a colorless, or you can tap it for one of two colors. So, you've got like Battlefield Forge is a red-white one, and so you can tap it for a red or a white, and you take one. It deals one.
It deals one damage to you.
I don't think Battlefield Forge is actually in this.
No,
set.
It's not. So we've got Shivan Reef, Caves of Koilos, Kaplusian Forest, and Sulphurous Springs, and Adakar Wastes is the last one.
Yeah. So blue, white, red, black, green, red, white, black, blue, red.
Correct.
I think that's all. Blue, green.
So these are the enemy colors, right? Oh, Yavimaya Coast is
it's more than that. Yeah, I think there's 7 of them actually. If you add that up, it's not just the enemy ones. I think there is a allied one. Yeah, I think like red, green is an allied.
Yeah.
One. So, and they have said they did come out and say the rest of them will be coming out
Brothers'
this year,
War,
which means they're coming out in Brothers' War. So Chewy got all excited and posted on Twitter, "Hey, I get to crack out my brushlands again." It's like, no, you're gonna have to wait. You're gonna have to wait a little bit longer for that, Chewy. They're coming at the end of the year, but we will be getting those. So these have been around for, I don't know when they first came out in a whiteboarded set. I think was the first time they came out, like a long time ago.
Hang on, I'm looking. It looks like Apocalypse.
Okay.
There you go.
Actually, it was in a blackboarded set. Yeah, the original ones. Yeah, like the brushland and all that sort of stuff.
Yep. So that's a long time
the old
ago.
pumpkins. Yeah, and they've popped up every now and then. They were pretty common in core sets, sort of through a period. We were getting them pretty regularly, and they're very good for aggro decks because you don't really care too much about the damage. Slower control decks, they're good for fixing your mana when you need it, but the damage that you take can really add up, especially when you're getting beaten down by an aggressive deck. So they're good fixing, but they're not quite... they're not the same as pathways and that sort of thing. The other thing to note in this set, we do have a common cycle of dual lands, mountain forests and things like that, but they do enter the battlefield tapped, so they're quite good. I might actually have to put those in the Pauper Cube.
That's a good idea.
That's some good fixing. So yeah, pain lands, they'll be good. They're good to see, but yeah, there is a slight restriction in the colours that are available, so keep that in mind. What else you got, Cracker?
So... Unsurprisingly, there's a bunch of Izzet cards that grab my attention. I'm shocked. People must be sick of hearing me talking about
thought that you and I on the podcast, the cards that we highlight are all the Izzet colours.
Yeah, well, that's fine. Actually, I think there's going to be a really interesting token theme here. I'm not quite sure what it looks like yet, but after going through all of that with Chewy, there's a lot of pieces for some token decks and go wide strategies in kind of the... like red in Naya, but also Abzan as well. I think there's potential there. So you could even, depending on the mana bases and what they look like, I wouldn't be surprised to see some 3-color stuff go wide strategies. But I mean, for me, there's kind of a little package that really grabbed my attention, and we talked about this one on the podcast on the stream, and it is called, I forget, and I've lost it. It's 1 and a red for a 1/3. It's Balmor Battle Mage Captain. There we go. I found it. So it's blue-red for a 1/3 legendary bird wizard. Flying. Whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, creatures you control get +1/+0 and gain trample until end of turn. So hold that in your mind, because that card seems really good in a Izzet Spellslinger kind of thing, which I obviously quite like to do. And then there is a card in red, which is called... Hang on, let me just get the name right here. It's called Electrostatic Infantry, and it's 1 and a red for a 1/2. It's a dwarf wizard. It has trample, and it says whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, put a +1/+1 counter on Electrostatic Infantry. So I know I like Delver Shells. I like tempo decks, but these cards actually help. Yeah. As far as like really being on theme. And it may be the case with the Delver deck where you just don't play Delver, which happens quite a lot. But yeah, these with like Lightning Strike is back in the set. I know that's one of the cards we were going to talk about. It's just 1 and a red, deal 3/2, anything. It's just a classic kind of really good removal spell.
Very glad to have that back in standard.
Yeah, I mean, the thing that I have missed for a long time in standard particularly is just burn spells that go face.
Yeah.
Sometimes with these aggressive tempo decks, you just need to throw 3 damage in someone's face and just close out a game. And this is it's as good as we get. We're never getting Lightning Bolt back. And the fact that it's instant speed, helps a lot. And then the other one is Impulse, Shorty. So in blue...
I don't think I've ever cast Impulse.
I've cast it in Cube or something, I think, but certainly not a lot. It's not even in Modern. Let's put it that way. Like this is an old card. This is a real old card. So it's 1 and a blue for an instant. It's a common. Look at the top 4 cards of your library, put one of them into your hand and the rest on the bottom of your library in any order. So it's kind of like Super Anticipate.
Yep.
Just goes 1 card deeper, but just card selection. Just great. Exactly what I want to be doing.
Yeah, 4 deep is very deep, so...
It is.
Yeah, pretty cool. And yeah. And when it's an old card like that and it's never been printed into standard, Pioneer, Modern, it's gonna have some impact in not just in standard, in those formats as well. I think the red dude that you highlighted there, the Electrostatic Infantry, very keen for that in the older formats as well, like for Explorer, because it is a wizard. And
Wizard Traveler is a thing.
There's the Wizard's Burn deck. It's a 2-drop that doesn't die straight away because it's a 1/2. Having trample is huge, and it's +1/+1 counters that it gets on it. So
it's not something to turn. It's going to stick around and get big
so it's gonna
fast.
Be, very quickly it's going to be a 2/3, 3/4, and then it's just you suit that up with an Embercleave or something like that, and away you go. So good fun. Very keen for that.
All right, what do you got?
I don't know how they came up with this name. If this was already named prior to the coronavirus or something, but we've got Rona's Vortex, which is maybe it's just an Australian thing that we call it the Rona. I don't know.
Probably.
Might just be an Aussie thing. But Rona's Vortex, fitting along the lines of the spells decks that we've been talking about. This is a single blue for an instant, and it's got return target creature or planeswalker you don't control to its owner's hand. If this spell was kicked, so it's got kicker for 2 and a black, put that permanent on the bottom of its owner's library instead. So if you take out the kicker part, this is actually like super powerful. We've never had a 1 mana blue instant that can bounce a planeswalker.
Nope.
Your opponent's going to get the value off the planeswalker anyway. You know, they get priority. They cast the planeswalker, it resolves. They get priority. You can't bounce it before they get to activate one of its abilities. So they're going to get that. But man, sometimes, I've had a bunch recently where you just get stuck. It's like, I just cannot get that planeswalker off the battlefield, and it's just ticking up, and it's just going to ultimate, and then I'm just dead. So having a 1 mana answer just to bounce it, reset its counters, that sort of thing is going to be pretty handy.
Reset its counters? What are you talking about, mate? I bounce this end of turn, untap, hold up negate, and GG.
Yes, there's that too. So
this is a really exciting play pattern. And look, Fading Hope has been a staple in kind of any blue tempo deck since it's been printed. This is, the scry value is good, but you don't get a lot of the time because you just don't want to bounce the small stuff.
No, and then this works well, in your Delver decks, because you want to be bouncing creatures just to clear them out of the way, like clear blockers out of the way, so you can just bash in. And if you happen to be playing, blue black, or you're playing Grixis or something, so you can do the kicker, like putting that on the bottom of its library is very good. So I'm quite excited by this card. I think it's going to see a bit of play, and I wouldn't be surprised if it sees play in other formats as well. The other card that I'm interested in, we'll have to see how it goes in standard, but Ellis Ilkor Sadistic Pilgrim. It's an absolute mouthful for that name, which is white and a black for a legendary creature, Phyrexian Core Cleric. It's a 2/2, and it has Death Touch, which probably doesn't have a huge impact, but it's a Blood Artist effect. Basically, whenever another creature enters the battlefield under your control, you gain a life. Whenever another creature you control dies, each opponent loses 1 life. So this is going straight into my commander deck that I have, which is built around combos with sacrificing your creatures infinitely and draining all of your opponents out. So this is
Blood Artist and a Soul Sister was the other thing that we worked out. It does both halves. So. Yeah, this card seems amazing, and in the go wide strategy, I think it's going to be really good. The other thing that there's a couple of black cards that I really want to talk about that kind of fit in with that really well. So one is Liliana of the Veil.
Yeah.
I mean, it's been a minute since I thought we'd see Liliana in standard again, but here she is. One of the
turns out she's not. She doesn't quite fit in with the 2022 power level of Magic, and now she's perfectly fine to print in standard.
Yeah. Liliana is just like, it was one of those cards, she was like $120 for a while. Like, it was an expensive card when it was in Jund, in Modern. But if you don't know what it is, it's 1 black for a legendary Planeswalker Liliana. She has 3 starting loyalty. Her +1 is each player discards a card. -2 is target player sacrifices a creature. And then -6 is separate all permanents target player controls into 2 piles. That player sacrifices all permanent in a pile of their choice. So they've actually reworded that ultimate a little bit, but same effects. And you can kind of just make a real mess of people.
My opponent, when I was playing Tron at the Modern event the other weekend, my opponent managed to ultimate Liliana because I was just doing nothing. And when it's like, all right, I'm going to split your Tron lands up, and it's like, I'm just going to scoop it up, and we'll just go to the next
good enough. Yeah. So Lily is, historically been really good. You play it in kind of typically like green, black, X decks, whether it's red or blue supporting it, you can kind of go either way. It just does a lot. And the secret hidden mode of Liliana, in case you don't know, is don't activate it. It's actually really hard to play because you think you need to do it every turn, but sometimes you just need to keep cards in hand, or you need to keep creatures. You don't want to minus. So you don't have to activate it every turn. So that one, and the other card that I thought was interesting with Ellis and some of the other things there is Braids, Arisen Nightmare. So this is 1 black for a legendary Nightmare, Braids. She is a 3/3. And it says, at the beginning of your end step, you may sacrifice an artifact, creature, enchantment, land, or planeswalker. If you do, each opponent may sacrifice a permanent that shares a card type with it. For each opponent who doesn't, that player loses 2 life and you draw a card. So, Punisher effects are usually bad, but the upside of this one is letting you draw a card. And that's really strong. So, I'd be interested to see how this one plays out. There's Rakdos Sacrifice is already a thing, like the Oni Cult Anvil decks are kicking around. I mean, it's a 3-drop, it's a 3/3. Like, it's on its face value, and it's not exactly an enters the battlefield trigger, but it's the end step, so it's like as good as you cast it in your second main, you go straight to your end step. You get to trigger this, you can start to, you're either controlling the board or you're pinging them for 2 and you're drawing a card. Like, that's just good value.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's just going to, like, it's similar to Liliana. Like, it depends if you've got the deck to support it. Like, Liliana functions on decks that can survive with no cards in hand.
Low resources.
Symmetrical, +1, each player is discarding a card. So either you've got to be getting value from what you're discarding, whether that's, don't have it in standard, but if you had, madness effects where you can discard a card and, still cast a spell, or you're just playing a deck like the classic was in Modern with Tarmogoyf. You're discarding cards, so you're growing your Tarmogoyf and things like that. So it'll be interesting to see. I'm not big brained enough to be able to figure out if there's going to be a good Liliana deck, but
there's also like some reanimation stuff. So there's like Tenacious Underdog is an amazing card to either sacrifice to Liliana or to discard it. And then the other one along those lines is there's I forget what it's called. It's got the cats on it that people use to buy back their Grease Fang.
Yeah. Yep.
You know the one I mean.
I know the one
so
you're talking about.
It's like 1 and a black for, returning a creature with power or mana value 3 or less to the battlefield.
Yep.
Yeah. So, I think that's... It feels like there's a shell there somewhere. Again, not my wheelhouse. I don't instantly know like which bits to be drawn to, but I think there's something there.
Yeah. Yep. All right. So set's interesting. One last card. I don't think we've spoken about this one. This is one of the first cards that actually got previewed for the set, but it's Jaya, who we've since found out dies. So sad face for Jaya. But
Rip Jaya.
4-mana Planeswalker with 4 abilities. Like historically, 4-mana Planeswalkers with 4 abilities are very strong. We've seen Jace the Mind Sculptor. And we also saw Chandra, whatever.
Torch of Defiance?
Torch of Defiance, yeah. Which I've been playing a little bit of as well. So, 2 red for 4 loyalty, +1 create a 1/1 red monk creature token with prowess. That's pretty handy cracker in your spells decks. -1, exile the top 2 cards of your library. Choose one of them. You may play that card this turn. So, that is a play, that card. So, it means you can play lands off of that. But look at 2, play one of them. Pretty good. -2, choose target creature and opponent controls. Whenever you attack this turn, Jaya deals damage equal to the number of attacking creatures to that creature. That's an interesting way of doing it. A
lot of words. It's an outnumber effect.
Yeah, yep. And then the emblem is -8. Whenever you cast a red instant or sorcery spell, copy it twice. You may choose new targets for the copies. That could be interesting. Actually, that might.
That's a lot of turns to get to.
I mean, you play it with a doubling season and you can do it straight away. So
yeah, it's true. I mean, whatever. Doubling season is broken like that. I don't know. That's the metric that you should be going off.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I think this is interesting.
Yep.
But yeah, you're right. Like historically, you're absolutely correct. And it kind of does that, base level Planeswalker thing of, hey, it enters the battlefield, it makes a thing to protect itself, or it gains some incremental value. It kind of falls into that sort of space where it seems like it'd be good. The -2 ability is really hard to evaluate.
Yeah. Like, I guess you need to be
go
wide deck, but I think just for the the +1 and the -1 is quite good.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
Yep.
So
the last thing you want to mention?
Yeah, so there's a cycle of Phyrexian creatures. The one that I can't remember if we talked about this, but Defiler of Vigor. is the green one. It's 5 mana for a 6/6 with trample because it's green, and of course it is. It says, as an additional cost to cast green permanent spells, you may pay 2 life. Those spells cost green less to cast if you paid life this way. This effect only reduces the amount of green mana you pay. Right? So that's like the same text on all of them. It's blue or black or what, you get it. And then the other line of text that's kind of insane is whenever you cast a green permanent spell, put a +1/+1 counter on each creature you control. So you can only do this Phyrexian mana thing once per green spell is the way that it works.
It's a very wordy way to say
it's an incredibly wordy way.
One Phyrexian.
It is.
Yeah. Which is weird considering they've actually got Phyrexian mana in this set with Ajani.
With complete, yeah, I know.
Yeah. Anyway,
it is what it is.
But yeah, you can only pay it once, which is confusing the first time you read it.
Correct, yeah, absolutely. So that's why I wanted to mention it, particularly coming up to like pre-releases and things like that. You can't just go, oh, this card costs, green 1, I'll pay 4 life and 1. It's not like that anymore. You don't get to do the dismember thing. So you still will need to pay green, but this one in particular seems like it's going to be a house. I mean, it's a 5 mana 6/6 with trample. And as soon as you cast a green creature your next turn, it's a 7/7.
Yeah, as well as pumping
all the other things. Exactly.
Creatures.
All your creatures. Yeah, that's the insane thing. Like, why is it not just like target creature or this? But no, it's just we're just going to make everything massive.
It's a Phyrexian worm and it's green. Like you said it all, Cracker.
I did.
We saw Insanity on the weekend. The
pushed.
Brokenness of green. So it's not surprising.
It's at rare too.
Yeah.
Which is worth pointing out. They're not all mythics.
I prefer it was a mythic.
Yeah.
My wild cards.
True that.
Yeah.
Do we want to talk about the Lords?
Yeah, you can.
Sure. So there's the 2 mana Lord cycle that is...
Yeah.
Yes, sorry. One in each colour. What have we got? There's goblins, merfolks, soldiers, elves, and we had to look...
Clerics. The black one is clerics.
Yeah.
Yep.
They all seem okay. I don't know if they're good in standard. They will be important in other formats.
Yeah, 2 mana lords for older formats are very, very important. So I think like the goblin one, the merfolk one are likely to see quite a bit of play in potentially modern, but legacy, that sort of thing as well. The clerics one's a bit weird. I'm not too sure about that, but yeah, it's just anytime they put these sorts of cards into a set, it's usually laying the groundwork for future tribes. We already have some elves and we already have some goblins and those sorts of things. We've got clerics. The Angels deck is half clerics already, but that's predominantly white. So, but yeah, it's something to remember because we're going to see more of these creature types through the next sets. And there may be a point where it's like, oh, hang on, here we go. We've got an elf deck now, and you're wanting to play those lords. So keep an eye out for those.
Yep, 100%. Always really good to know. And I think this is actually the first time we've seen a goblin lord at 2 mana. Oh, also, we should say what a lord is. It gives +1/+1 to all creatures of that creature type that you control.
Other creatures of that type.
Yes, exactly. Yep. So, sorry, it's the Merfolk Lord. Lord of Atlantis is the original one, which where the term comes from.
Yeah, but the original Lord of Atlantis, its creature type was Lord.
Yes.
And its text was merfolk creatures you control get +1/+1. And it wasn't a merfolk, so that wording kind of made sense. And then they changed it to make it a merfolk because that makes much more sense. And so its text is now other merfolk you control get +1/+1. So that's how lords work. It's always...
Exactly. But that's where it comes from. It's the Lord of Atlantis was the first one that did that. It pumps the rest of the squad. So...
Yep. Very good.
Yeah, worth knowing about. Anyway, that's all for the moment. I'm looking forward to playing though.
Set looks really cool. I haven't paid a ton of attention to the previews as they've come out, but from what I'm hearing, the set looks cool, and it looks like the limited format is going to be quite good, as the last Dominaria set was. So certainly looking forward to that. But yeah, we'll have to see. We'll be talking about standard at some point over the next couple of weeks leading into our next standard league. So we'll sort of keep an eye on the metagame, and we'll start to focus a bit more on that, which we obviously haven't for the last few months. So we'll keep you updated on that. But limited, as we mentioned earlier, and you guys spoke about on the stream this week. Our next one-day event, which is next weekend, Saturday the 10th of September, we're doing Sealed, Dominaria Sealed. So sort of going hand in hand with the weird schedule that led us to playing an Explorer League, we had a one-day Explorer event, then a one-day Explorer League. Now we've got a next one-day event, and it was like, we don't really want to do another Explorer. I mean, we've enjoyed Explorer, but maybe we don't want to do 3 in a row. None of us were keen on Historic or Alchemy or anything like that, and we're about to go into a standard league. So we sort of worked out, okay, what can we do? And we've come up with a way that we can actually play Sealed. It relies a little bit on people's honesty. So the general plan is the morning of the event, you enter a Sealed event on Arena, which will cost you 2,000 gems. You export the card pool that you open from that and submit that as your deck list for the event. And then you build your pool, and we'll do pairings like we normally do for our one-day event and play with $250 in cash up for grabs, as well as the usual invitational points. And away you go. So there's plenty of time to practice. You can do some drafts, you can do some Sealed between now and then, but it does rely a little bit on honesty, which is the same in reality for most of our events. We make people submit deck lists, but you could cheat if you want. If you do, good on you. Don't good for you. You could be a jerk, but I think we have a good enough community that people won't be doing that sort of thing. So I'm pretty excited about this. I haven't played Sealed in, I don't even know.
Since the last pre-release that we did?
Yeah, which I don't even know what pre-release that was.
It wasn't... was it Capenna? Or I think it might have been... No, it was Kamigawa was the last one I did, I think.
I think I missed... I think you guys went and did one, I missed one. I don't know. It's been a long time since I've done Sealed, so I'm probably going to need to get some practice in. There is actually, I think, this week, there is a Phantom midweek Sealed event that you can do that is free to enter. So
nice.
Good chance to have some practice. I think it's only on for like a short period, 24 hours
for like a
thing.
day or something like that.
Yeah, so jump in that, just crack some pools, get used to, what the archetypes are and what you can build, and then sign up for the event. We're at 18 players already registered for this event.
We are, but in saying that, like you and Chewy are two of them, I'll probably put my name down as well. We can't.
Are you going to play?
I'd like to. I'd like to. We can't take
all
the prizes.
The events so far.
I know. It's hard on a Saturday with you.
It is. Yes.
You understand.
Yes.
That's a lot of EV. $250 across 16 people, effectively, even though you might even have to play, the beans. But, that's basically a buy. And then you it's just like that's EV right there, right? You get your free value.
Yep.
Come play.
Yeah, Envy points. So if we stay over 16 players, then it should be 3 points for first, 2 points for second, 1 point for third, and the 1 participation point. So potentially 4 points you could pick up from this event, which, looking at how close the invitational ladder was on the weekend...
It's actually a lot.
It's a lot. It's going to make a big difference for people. And just a reminder, in case you haven't you've forgotten or you didn't hear on the streams or whatever, the higher you are on the invitational ladder, you will get the higher seed is always on the play for the invitational this year. So that's pretty big. You want to be finishing in that top 8 and just making sure you are always on the play, because that's huge for Magic, as we all know. So get in on that. Registration's open. Just go to magicbeanscast.com and there'll be a link there for it. And sign up. It's going to be a ton of fun. We've got Hamburger. It's going to be playing in the middle of the night again from
what a legend.
Love the commitment. It's great work.
So good.
A couple of other Kiwis and things like that too. So get in on it. It's going to be stacks of fun. So that's it for this week. We've gone long already, Cracker. So quick wrap up. If you want to get in on all of our events or, anything that we do, YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, all that sort of stuff, just go to magicbeanscast.com. You'll find the links for everything that we do and links for the Discord, links to Josh and Pat's, our awesome sponsors. Just go magicbeanscast.com. You'll find all that sort of stuff. If you want to find me on Twitter, I'm at Peace Inc. And you are, Cracker?
At JoelHill_.
Very good. So that's it for this week. Thank you, as always, for listening. Stay safe out there, and we will see you all next time.